Welcome to What We Learned This Week, episode 16. I'm Chalene.
And I'm Liz.
Where it might not matter.
But we are going to talk about it anyway.
Yes, ma'am. We have a new legit podcasting space. I feel really professional.
Like we're at a desk, guys.
Yeah. We're not in our closet. We've come out of the closet, Liz.
It's pretty dang exciting.
I can actually not have my butt fall asleep while I'm sitting on the floor.
Oh my gosh. We were hunched over, an overturned stool? It was bad.
Yeah, it was really creative. I was proud of us.
Yes, I was proud. I'm only stocked on 2 books right now, and I get to turn my head to the left just a tiny bit, and I see Chalene right there in the corner of my eye. It's really beautiful. And if I turn just a couple degrees more, we have 5 minutes of uninterrupted eye contact if we choose to.
If I can handle it.
I can't handle 5 minutes. It's creepy. I'm 5 seconds and I'm like, can I look down now? Your eyes are very beautiful.
Well, when we were dating our husbands, do you think we gaze in each other's eyes?
Oh my gosh, all the time. That was what...
I don't even understand that.
How did that even happen? That is the only reason I married that man. I'm not even joking you. He had poop brown eyes. I tease him a little.
Oh my gosh.
Okay, fine. They're a little puppy doggish. And legit, I would just look into them. I felt like he could see into my soul, and I would he was staring at my center, and I would just keep
knew you.
opening
It
my
got all
eyes
of your
to it.
emotional
It did, all the
tinkles.
buttons.
Yep.
Yeah, it worked.
I like it.
If anybody looks at me too long, I'll marry them. It's a problem.
Oh, yeah.
Not really.
So don't look at me that long.
Chalene, we need to be closer. Have you seen that movie where Steve Martin does that? We talk about movies and books a lot on here. In case you're new to the show, thank you for joining us. If you have been looking for just that little extra in life, that little bit extra, don't laugh. This is serious.
Oh.
That place where you just kind of need to get some support and love on your path for growing, you're in the right place.
Yeah.
But anyways, back to movies.
Okay.
Steve Martin with Amy Poehler and Tina Fey in Baby Mama. Dang.
Oh, he was the guru guy?
He was the guru.
Oh,
and
he
was so weird. He was fantastic at it. And he would reward his employees with 5 minutes of uninterrupted eye contact. So my husband and I always joke about that. He's like, do you need 5 minutes of uninterrupted eye contact? I'm like, yes, I do. And we joke about it for 5 seconds, and then, life is good. But yeah, that's how we can connect.
I do remember that. That's funny. Liz, you're going to be talking today, so we don't really have a title, right?
Yet.
For this.
No, we don't. Maybe it'll evolve.
It will. Or I'll just make up something up really fast. But
she's pretty good at that. Most of our titles for our podcasts are courtesy of Chalene's.
Because I'm kind of punny.
Oh, dang. I was going to say quirky, but whatever.
Oh, that too. Yes. Liz, tell us what kind of brought you to want to talk about this topic today.
Oh, man. We've shared on and off, I think, that we recently attended a podcast summit. Mm-hmm. Just as you're tuning in, we're fairly newish. You can tell, episode 16. Woohoo! We made it past the hump, apparently, with 6 episodes.
Yeah, I was surprised by that.
We've doubled the hump, as a matter of fact.
Yeah, almost
or
tripled.
Maybe not hump. It was just this initial, it's a lot more work than you think. So if you get over 6 episodes, then you're a little more committed than you might realize, maybe.
Yeah.
And at the summit, there was a lot of discussion over finding your group, your niche, your people, your audience. Mm-hmm.
Jinx.
Yes. And there was one woman that came up to us. She's darling, and she came over to where we were sitting at one of the tables at one point and said that we looked like the mommy group.
And you should have seen Liz's face.
I couldn't even. I died.
Because she does not want to be solely a mommy podcast.
It's really, really, really a struggle. In fact, before we started talking and sharing what we did, I had to ask Chalene if I had permission to talk about my kids. She's like, why wouldn't you? Because I don't know. I don't want to come across to you, listener, as someone that doesn't recognize that all of us come from very different walks of life.
Yes.
And I grew up with a lot of different experiences. I used to think that I was a little bit, I guess that I surrounded myself with diversity. Anyways.
Well, I think, Liz, you have a desire to want to reach all sorts of different people. You've lived in a lot of different places. You have a lot of different friends that kind of come from different, I wouldn't say walks of life, but maybe lenses of life.
Yeah.
And you found a lot of value in that. And so I think you want to continue that, but sometimes where you live, it's not always available.
For sure. Yeah, I think you're hitting it pretty spot on. And more than anything, my obsession with the human story comes from this place where, inspiring great stories of accomplishment and overcoming adversity are inspiring. But I really have wanted to focus as well on the everyday, right? The inspiring stories are great, but they leave me feeling as if I don't want to say they leave me feeling lacking, because I would never want to take away from somebody else's experience. But I walk away with, how can we celebrate every day? Because I struggle with being present, probably. So I need that little extra hand with it. And I truly want to reach out to share that with others. And it does fall a lot with, it's like you said, it's our proximity, it's our experience. There's a lot of people in my immediate neighborhood and communities who have small, we have families and kids that we're trying to raise and get to sports and whatever. And anyway, that's kind of what spawned is our audience just this?
Oh, just people just like us.
Right.
Is what you're saying.
Is it exactly like us? And
we struggled with it. It was a pretty intense conversation.
Several conversations. We should probably rephrase that to several conversations.
Yeah.
It hasn't even finished.
Even getting to the point of saying, are we even going to do this anymore?
Right.
Because who wants to listen to us if we don't have
what's our purpose?
We're talking to?
Yeah, who are we talking to? Mm-hmm. Who are we
We're
sharing
talking
with?
To ourselves, which really I really enjoy that. But
I like talking to you, Chalene. So this is a really nice, it's a nice way to do that. But more than anything, I wanted to be able, how do you convey all the rest of the things other than just talk about them, which is why we are and why I think you've asked some of the questions you have. I think more than anything too, I wanted to be careful to not pigeonhole,
Right.
There are so many people that we can learn from, which it's interesting too, because what spawned this, Chalene, was, have you shared officially what, why you wanted to talk about things that you'd learned? What inspired this? This is really important.
Okay. I haven't shared it because I don't have names to talk about.
It's fine. Just share generally.
I'll just share the general.
What happened that one day at that one time when you felt this one thing?
I was listening to a podcast who told me about another podcast to listen to, and I really can't remember the name because I got a new phone and shifted all my podcasts, and I don't remember what I had on my other phone. But it was this woman who talked about her experience having an abortion, and it was so poignant to me because she was talking about how when she went in, to
the clinic? To
the clinic.
Okay.
She was, I think, 16, and her dad actually took her. And there were all these Christian women out there telling her she was killing, a baby, and how horrible she was, and how God was going to be mad at her, and all of these things. And here she was going in to do this. Her dad said it was fine, obviously. He wanted her to do it. She didn't want to raise a baby. So she goes in there and she has the experience, and it hurt, right? And it emotionally, even though she didn't fully understand what was happening, she was
clearly affected.
Yes.
Yeah.
And she walked out the back door and there was nobody there. And she thought, I wonder how different my story would have been if someone would have met me at the back door and would have said, hey, how are you feeling? Can I give you a ride? And it just struck me with this life lesson of, oh my gosh, yes, I want to be at the back door. How many times have I been at the front door telling someone they're doing something wrong, thinking I know better,
right?
Instead of saying, you know what, you made whatever choice you got to make. That's your privilege. How can I help you?
Oh my gosh, I love that word, privilege.
And I just started sharing it with everybody that I knew, like Marco Poloing tons of people. And
hey,
nobody quite took it like I did. And maybe because they didn't get to hear it firsthand, maybe my interpretation was kind of bad. But I was like, no, this is really important. I feel like I want to share this, even though it wasn't a personal thing that I learned firsthand, I guess. I learned it secondhand, right? Because it was from her story. Sure. But that kind of
But it still affected you.
It really affected me.
Too. Mm-hmm.
And I thought, I really need a place to share this instead of bothering all my friends with up my stories. And I know my friends love me. I know they love me, so I don't want to poo-poo on anyone. But I just felt like I needed to say some things and have a place to say it. So I went on Amazon and I bought a microphone. And it sat there for 6 months.
Until I showed up.
And I don't even remember the conversation. Do you remember the conversation?
I actually, no, I don't.
I don't.
How did it happen? I mean.
It just whoosh kind of.
It did. It's like we fell into each other's arms.
Because we weren't even really close friends.
We'd been in similar circles, kind of, I like to think of it as rotating around each other, right? Like we're kind of hovering around in and out of each other's lives. But again, proximity, I guess, right? Like it just, because we had been in each other's circles for a little bit. It's kind of how it happened.
That's awesome. Why did we tell that story?
Well, it's pertinent.
Okay. All right.
Promise.
Sorry if that bored you.
It was not boring. It re-inspired me, for crying out loud, because that was what drew me to wanting to work on this project with her. However, the conversation had evolved. Again, my obsession with story and how different each one of us, well, I guess the different experiences that each one of us comes from, I would have been probably just as excited to read what she shared too. In all honesty, right? That is a tale of overcoming. It is something that is a shared human experience. And and that's what I want to connect with, because I struggle with the human experience personally. So when I share, I feel, I don't know, I feel better. I feel like I'm not the only one in the boat. Emotion is a beautiful, wonderful thing, but it is a lot of motion. It's a lot of activity. It's a lot of stuff to navigate and choppy waters. And
well, also it gets you out of your head, right? I think that's why people pay therapists, because we have these things. I don't know if you feel like, I just feel like I have ping pong balls all day long. If you
saw our post last week, or whatever week it was, a couple weeks ago, Liz does. Come on now. Remember?
Oh, the hamster wheel.
She put me on a hamster wheel, guys. A hamster face in the hamster wheel.
Oh, it was so cute.
It was very cute. I'm not sure I make a very cute hamster. Actually, I showed my boys and they pretty much died. They were like, look at your ears. Like, those are not my ears. You know that, right?
Funny.
They did realize that. But
that's why I think we have friends too. Because we need to talk about these things that are ping-ponging in our head. They need to come out. Journaling is one way.
Sure.
Talking is one way.
Sure.
So this is just the way that we figured out for us to be able to get those ping pongs, marbles, whatever.
Yeah, it's kind of a creative way to.
My head.
For me, it's a little bit on the self-care side. I mean, I know we talked about our miracle morning journey and process, and it's not just, maybe even more so than self-care, it's spiritual growth, right? It's growth. It's
self-help, really.
Yeah, yeah.
I mean, just growing. Keep on growing.
Keep on growing. Keep on keeping on. And I think what ended up happening for me too, if we circle back for a second as to the whys, you know, the how we're going to get into the rest of what we're fleshing out today, was I actually had finally finished reading in the last week or so the book Same Kind of Different as Me.
By Ron Hall?
Yep, by Ron Hall.
Oh, it's so good.
It was really, really good. Really inspiring. So the story basically is told from two different perspectives. Ron Hall, the author, well, co-author, I guess, and Denver. Yeah. And the two different perspectives follow one who's basically able to have opportunity in education and eventually wealth, and the other who doesn't have either of those things, no formal education and opportunity. And after sharecropping for years and living more or less like he still was in the late 1800s, even though it was, you know, the 1950s, 1960s, because of those limited opportunities and because of how sharecropping works, ended up leaving that environment, but homeless for years and years before he even met this couple as they decided to support this homeless mission in the Fort Worth, I believe it was, area of Texas. And the learning that the two received from each other in the relationship they shared is what fascinated me.
Yeah, it's beautiful.
It is a really beautiful story. It is based on a true story. Like I said, Ron Hall, the author, is the Ron in the story. So it's fantastic if you need a good read over the next little while.
I feel like it's one of those, to me, life-changing books. I underlined so many things in there. There were just so many beautiful statements that just pertain to everyone's life. And most of them were from Denver.
Oh, yeah, absolutely. Which I guess is what piqued the rest of my interest, right? Okay. So I've heard I remember reading like a study that had been done years ago, apparently, and I did research a little bit of these to just brush up on what's more current. Mm-hmm. But the long and short of it, back when I remember it, was that we have a tendency to only still associate in our immediate social groups with people that are in the relatively same IQ. And to me, what this proved, though, at least in this particular story, is that didn't necessarily have anything to do with the relationship that Ron and Denver had.
But also that he had to create that relationship. Ron had to work hard to create that relationship. It wasn't easy.
And that's what I loved about it too, is Denver wasn't just ready to take it just because he was a wealthier individual. That had no bearing on what he valued as a relationship, which he even admits at several points in the book is why he remains homeless or without close friendships for a long time. Because they just didn't reciprocate in that way. And one of the studies I actually looked up was super fascinating, that apparently the difference in relationships, what makes the majority of the difference versus just the IQ, was basically love.
Wow. That was in a study?
Yeah. An intimacy style. It was the ability to connect and form the relationship. And it was your relationship style. It was how you connect and how you believe and navigate love, which I just thought was obviously really fascinating too.
So just really quick, how did they quantify love?
It was really, it was very generic. It was more, you know how the headings are the ones that will capture you, you know, not just IQ, but love is a determining factor in relationship success. And the angle that they were coming from was this group of Mensa. Okay.
You have to have over a certain IQ to be in Mensa.
Yes. I'm not in them. I'm not in that group. I'm not there, obviously.
You never know. Have you ever had IQ tested?
Only online.
And P.S. You have to apply to be in Mensa. It's not like you're granted and bestowed.
You have 170. You will be with us.
You will be knighted as Mensa.
So this group, though, they took whatever number it was from there. I believe it was 30 to 60. I should probably double check that. And looked at their relationships, and supposedly other studies have determined that those with higher IQs don't necessarily have good, close, intimate relationships. But
probably because they're autistic.
Well, the determining factor, according to the rest of the study, though, is it was no different than those with, you know, that they studied of a quote-unquote lower IQ, or more average, 108, you know, being an average, I guess.
Okay.
That's what it said.
Okay.
108
What's
low.
a high? 160?
140s and 50s, I think is what it said.
Okay, so break it down for me. What was the conclusion?
The conclusion was it had more to do with relationship style and the choice, more or less, to love and share a relationship together.
Okay.
And that could be shared equally despite IQ. It can be a great success, but the common determinants that they did find is typically the ones in the relationships did find other people that had fairly similar IQs and relationship styles as well.
Can I share something?
Yeah.
So it just makes me think. My husband's grandparents on his dad's side, his grandfather is in Mensa. Okay.
Oh, wow.
He watches the most boring things on TV, but it's really interesting to him, you know, like all the financial things, CNBC, all of that, you know, and very smart. And he married Nana. And I don't know if she knew her IQ, but she wasn't highly educated like Leah was. And it was interesting because they got married. They were both married to other people.
Oh, really?
But they were couple friends.
Oh.
So they really were in the same social group.
Yeah.
But they weren't necessarily the same learnedness. So it kind of proves your point.
It's the relationship style. It's the love.
They loved each other. He would travel. And she'd be at the airport waiting for him to come back, and she'd be like, "Oh my gosh, I'm so excited to see him!"
Oh,
and they'd been married like 20 years,
and she still was that excited.
Oh, she was.
That's really precious.
It really was.
I usually have to miss my husband for a week or two before he come back. Sorry, honey.
Breaks are nice.
Breaks are nice. Yeah, that's a nice way to say it.
Yeah,
it's a fascinating study to me because it seems very similar to other sayings or things that I've heard, you know, where you're the average of the 5 people that you hang out the most with. And
which could be a whole other topic in itself. I'm just thinking in my mind.
Yeah.
Wow.
Well, that could go either way too, right? Like on a positive level, if you're the average of the 5, then that's great for surrounding yourself with people that are successful and will support you in your endeavors. The point to that was also, I mean, it comes from a business perspective. I believe it was Jim Rohn.
Yeah.
That was the one famous for coining that, because the idea is from the flip side, if you surround yourself with those top 5 that you spend the most time with as not being so successful, well, it's going to rub off on you.
I can see that. I remember learning something when I was a teacher, and they talked about social groups and how the kids smoking outside in the parking lot accepted everyone, versus the jocks, or kind of harder to get into, right? You have to be good at something or cheerleading or something. Right. And, you're surrounding yourself with those people. It's kind of bring you down. If you were, I'm not saying that people that smoke in the parking lot aren't good people, but they obviously don't value education the same as everybody else at school.
There was definitely a difference at our school.
Yeah. Is that fair to say?
It was in my experience. Not necessarily that, and this is the interesting thing, is I went to 2 different high schools. So I had 2 different experiences there, not only because they were 2 different locations, but I honestly was also making different life choices during both those high school experiences. And the first one was the epitome of the high school that had the parking lot that was full of all the smokers, and the ones that were considered the jocks and they did everything and were very involved socially in the school and popular and all the other stuff. They did the same kind of things. They were the ones at parties smoking and drinking. It's not like it was any different. They were the ones that probably introduced me more to some of the stuff that wasn't so great out there. But it was just how they did it. But yes, I can see where in general, right, their motivation was still education and being involved in the school and community and blah, blah, blah.
And having goals, right? When you're in athletics, you have goals.
There was other goals versus some of those other kids that they might have come from more difficult backgrounds, or they just didn't, not that the other ones didn't too. I don't know what the big clincher was, other than they just didn't care the same. And
you get to, like we said, it's your privilege to decide. You given this opportunity of high school. Are you going to take it?
Right. What are you going to do with it? Yeah. Yeah. And that's what I was so drawn to some degree by this story, is it was a huge reminder that maybe what connects us more is not just, IQ or the other study that I had read was about how we actually are less diverse than we think in our immediate social groups. Humans have a tendency to like what's familiar, right? That you can see that anywhere. Think of your own personal experience. I find people that are relatable, which means they're probably a little like me. They have a similar sense of humor. They've had 1 or 2 experiences that are relatable. We have same fundamental belief systems. Most of my closest friends, gender's the thing. They're my girlfriends. I'm not close with a bunch of dudes. It just doesn't happen to be that point in my life right now. I don't know, right?
Well, you look at when America was first being not colonized, but the Ellis Island, what would you call that? Immigrants? They all went together. So the Italians went to one place, and the Lebanese went to one place. And you still have those pockets that exist. For sure. I had a friend that served a mission, and he was in Minnesota speaking Hmong.
Really?
And I was like, I don't even know where they're from. I still don't. But it was such a small group of people that I was just so surprised that a lot of them had gone. So I think human nature, we do want to cling to those things that are important to us. And for a lot of people, culture is important, right? Because of the holidays and the beliefs and all of that.
For sure. It's things that are shared. It's relationships, it's experiences, which to some degree is also what was proved in the book, right? Over time, they developed a very, very close relationship, and Ron came to rely on Denver. He says more or less, Denver's his brother. He is family. Yeah. He was very inspired. He grew tons. He had lots of spiritual insight because they were so religious and the background they came from. The trial that Ron ends up going through is he loses his beloved wife. They finally grow closer together, have all these wonderful experiences. She's so involved in this homeless community and establishing support and relationships and, community, and ends up dying of cancer. A horrible experience with it. And after having beat it twice, I think it was, wasn't it? Like they cleared it out of her system twice or something. But Denver's experience, and this is something else that I just ponder on the side for getting into all of that today too. I wonder if we have a tendency to focus on spiritual growth differently and more. I mean, weren't we just talking about this Maslow's hierarchy of needs, right? If you're fed and taken care of, then your mind can focus on other things, right? It can focus on, obviously you're not worried about where your next meal is.
Or you are, like me, but not worried, just thinking about it.
Because that's your hobby. That's different. Food is okay to love.
Okay, thanks.
You're welcome. There's a certain amount of spiritual growth that intellectual beings, humans, need still. We seek it. Whatever that growth is in, it doesn't matter if it's health and fitness or book education or being the very best at the sport that you're at. There's
starting
growth.
a new business.
We're starting a new business. Right.
Yeah.
Whatever our gifts and our talents are, we seek for growth in those areas. And sometimes even in the areas that we're not as talented in, because we need to grow there too, right? And we were kind of discussing and pondering, is that because we have all this time to dedicate to it? Which to some degree I think is probably true. Right? We have more time to ponder or dedicate to this kind of growth. I am not preoccupied about where my next meal will come from. So for my husband's income is very stable, as is what little bit that I get to earn. And so we know we can go to the grocery store tomorrow and pick up milk and bread when it runs out. It's just there.
And so you do wonder, how can I be kinder to people? Those questions.
I have more time
or those development. But you also made a good point, Liz, as you were saying, can people that maybe don't have the financial backing or the stability, I guess.
Maybe, that are doing some of the survival. Having more of the survival experiences.
Yes. Do they learn the same things? And I would say probably it's just interwoven into their experience, but they maybe don't have to seek it out as much as we do. I don't know why.
Well, so this is the thought I had with that is, first off, we can see in the book experience. All right. If we go this is based on a true story, so it's fairly easy for me to feel like I can pull from it. Okay. This Denver character clearly had massive spiritual growth experiences.
Oh, he did.
Despite whatever formalized education and lack of formalized education that he was able to have. He was the one that was inspiring Ron and his family and supporting them so much during the wife's death. He had the visitations.
Kind of the rock.
He was. And he had this call almost in what he said was a call from God at one point that he recognized to be able to speak things that were true that really resonated with people and helped them to understand the purpose of life, right?
Oh, yeah.
And he gained that from different life experience, whereas Ron had formalized education, but he struggled with those truths, which is why he was probably seeking them. So I guess that's why it made me ponder, does this survival experience create already this innate understanding of spirituality?
Wow, I've never thought about it. That's really cool.
Well, that one's really wild to me too, because in the yoga community, we call this, when you experience something on a physical level, it does affect you on a spiritual level. And when you experience something on a spiritual level, it can also affect you on a physical level. So all those planes are still interwoven and connected. And it would be a serious disservice if we neglected to recognize that they are interwoven and that they do affect each other, which is the point of yoga as a practice. I chatted with someone the other day who was, I met this man from India and he said that yoga is just a physical practice. Here in the US, we just turn it into the spiritual thing. And, we've really taken away from what it really was. But I think what he was not necessarily able to finish talking to this man about or finish recognizing, or they just didn't get to or whatever, was that because he was practicing so much physically, it did affect his spiritual growth. That's why Gandhi, when he was in the work he was in, seriously, did you know he was a barrister, a lawyer?
You told me that.
Did we discuss that already on here? Sorry if you're hearing duplicates. If not, It's all good. Even if you are. It's an important thing to know. Gandhi was a barrister, which is...
And a really bad one, right?
He was terrible. Apparently, he did not win very many cases. He struggled being in front of other people. But when he found his thing, which was peaceful conflict, peaceful resolution, conflict resolution through peace, right? Through peaceful means. That's a spiritual practice that he developed a very personal spiritual practice. He was a vegetarian for the latter years of his life. He ate like 1 or 2 meals of very thin, he survived on very little because he felt to keep his mind and wits about him and keep in this place of really honing those spiritual skills and what he needed to do the work he needed to do for his people was done at a physical level. He recognized that. It works simultaneously, inward and outward. Symbiotically, all of it, right? And it fascinates me.
Ooh, that got really deep.
It did. Do we need a breather real quick?
No, we're okay.
We should have like a joke session in between. Dun 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 dun.
Yeah.
That was the Mario song. I was trying to do the one from The Muppet Show. What was the Muppet Show one?
It is dun 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 dun.
That's right. You love the Muppets.
I do.
So I did do it right. It just sounded a little too much like Mario.
Yeah.
I need to get my tone better, apparently, or something. Maybe we need the wisecracking guys in the corner while we talk.
Oh, Waldorf and Statler.
Yeah, wouldn't that be great?
Yeah. No.
Your mother was I don't know. Maybe that wouldn't be great.
Yeah, mostly.
Just
grumpy. Did you know how they got their names?
No.
There are 2 hotels in New York that were right next to each other, the Waldorf and the Statler.
I didn't know the Statler was, though.
Yeah.
That's funny.
Yeah, that's what my dad told me.
Now. I can
Jim
see
Henson. Love that dude.
Smart guy.
I know.
Smart guy these guys were.
Welcome back to the show in progress.
Chalene's more comic relief than she realized.
So, when I'm not trying to be funny, I am funny?
Yes.
What does that mean?
Quirky.
Oh, yeah.
Remember we said quirky. She keeps it. I have a tendency to, if I start drilling in, I drill.
Yeah, true.
I will keep going. I burrow. I tunnel.
We just talked about how I can't handle when people are really sad in front of me, so I just have to make them laugh, which is not good, I've realized, but it's just been a coping mechanism.
Either. I like to make people laugh but I like to laugh at the difficulty. I'm like, let's just laugh at ourselves. This is funny.
Like
right?
Still Magnolias?
Yeah. You laugh so hard you cry.
Hit her.
Cry
no,
so
don't
hard
you remember?
Laugh? No. What part?
Okay, so Sally Field is like crying over the grave and she's like, she was right. My hair is just a big football helmet. And she's like, and why am I here? My Shelby isn't.
Oh,
And she's just wailing and crying. And then the old lady says, here, hit her. And it's the lady that they all kind of don't really like. And she's standing there, she's like, what? She's like, yeah, hit her, take a whack. We've always wanted to hit her,
Just to break it up. Just to have somewhere for that emotion to go.
Really? You don't remember that?
No.
That's like the biggest part of the whole movie.
It was always so traumatic that she even died. I don't know if I ever got to the funeral part without just...
Well, you have to, because then you need the comic relief after all of it.
Yeah, it was terrible. I had a mentor friend. In fact, you'll get to hear from her in the next couple of weeks. We're going to have Karina Hammer on the show.
Yay.
So excited. But during training, she always told us that laughter or humor and grief kind of fall along the same line.
Like vibration-wise or something?
Yeah, so that's why... Have you ever cried so hard that you laugh?
No.
Are you serious? Okay, I'm
serious.
Clearly the emotional basket case here because I've had the opposite happen too. I've been laughing so hard that I start bawling and I'm like, what is wrong with me?
Yeah, I'm a stone.
Dang,
you know that.
We need to break through this. How are we going to get you to laugh?
I am
extra till you cry. You are what you are. We need more of you in the universe too. It's fine. Be more of who you are, Chalene.
I'll balance your emotionalness.
Yeah.
I'm emotional, but I just don't wear it like that.
Same?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. And that's okay too.
Is it?
Need that. It is. Of course it is.
Okay, good.
I just like to reach out to all the ones that feel a little bit insane in their own bodies, like myself.
No, I feel insane in my body. I just don't broadcast it as well, which I probably should do a little bit more of.
You think so?
Not broadcast it, but share it. Being willing to show it.
Because then you're always like me, where it's like, you can tell what you're feeling every second of your life. Can you? Stink.
Or you could be a mystery to everyone. That's not good either.
I always wanted to be mysterious. I'm not
mysterious in like an Angelina Jolie mysterious. I'm mysterious in like a Kermit the Frog mysterious.
What are you thinking there, Kermit? Are you thinking?
You have to look at my lips No. You know how he always
I'll
does
just
his
give her
like
5 minutes of uninterrupted eye contact.
Yeah. You know how Kermit, when he gets frustrated, his lips all curl up?
Yeah.
Yeah. I love that. So cute.
That's funny. We always joke that my dad kind of can do that pretty well too.
Really?
Yeah, he can do the lip curl. I guess in conclusion, I've just had the opportunity to think about this a lot, being holed up in my house over summer, recuperating.
She just had surgery.
I did.
She's
my
doing
knee's
great.
getting better. I am hobbling around a little bit more now, which is awesome.
Yes.
But it has given me a lot of time to think and reflect. And I can't help but want to be very clear on, what it is that we were what is the purpose of what we're trying to accomplish and what we're doing and why. And I'm just fascinated in general with how we learn, how we grow,
right.
what makes the person that what is it that, have you heard of this emotional IQ? They call it like
EQ?
EQ.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
I heard about it in college, but it kind of blew my mind when she was talking about it because I had never heard of it.
Yeah.
And I don't know a lot about it still, but that there is some sort of emotional quotient.
Right. That it's supposed to be a determinant to how you basically handle the experiences you have, right? Like your emotional maturity or sense, or which I guess is what kind of made me think of still this book story still, right? Like, so Ron had a formalized education, Denver didn't, but he obviously understood really deep principles and things. Mm-hmm. So would that be safe to say that his EQ was
highly developed?
Yeah, because it's not necessarily a high IQ that is going to determine your success in life and experiences or relationships for that matter. None of it. I mean, yes, there are obviously benefits to education. This is not to poo-poo education, formalized or not. But I guess I always am looking I realized I'm not necessarily, at least personally, I'm a seeker, but it's because I'm looking for tools to keep supporting me in my learning and growth, right? And I want that reinforcement that I can figure this out and do it, and that I'm doing okay, and that this is more normal. I am an oldest child, so I don't have that immediate peer group that I watched. I had adults.
Oh, yeah.
Right?
Same.
Have we talked about that a little bit?
Not really, I don't think.
So I've wondered if that's been my mini obsession with like needing that encouragement to keep doing what I'm doing. Yeah, no, you're doing it right. Meaning you're doing it the way you're doing it, so that's right. Yeah. Don't we all need to be reminded of that? Like,
I think
you
so.
joked about it for a second. Is that okay? Of course it's okay. You do it differently than me. That's why we get to talk and share our perspectives the way that we do. Because our experiences are going to be different. And I need your view. Oh, it lends clarity to mine.
And learning, right? I learn from your perspective.
Yeah.
And vice versa.
It doesn't change necessarily how I feel about something or what I believe about something, but it does help me to clarify what I think and feel a lot. Yeah. It helps me hone in on it. It helps me understand it differently. And it helps me understand that not everybody, like, I guess we're still a little egocentric, right? If we think that the world thinks like we do, wasn't that the teenage way of thinking still, right?
Yeah.
No one has ever felt like this ever before. I'm the only one who's ever felt this in love. You don't understand.
Oh, yeah.
Do we ever get out of that, really? I mean,
I think we do. I think that, but there are, especially when you're feeling out of balance, I think that's what you revert to.
Maybe.
But I guess in conclusion, and you can correct me if I'm wrong, if we wanted to go back to the problem that we had of like who our audience is, could we say it's people that just are interested in being a better human?
Oh, yeah.
Just people that are interested in learning. And that can include anyone.
Yeah.
And not that people that don't have that same interest, like I think everyone probably wants to be a better human.
Sure.
But it might not speak to everybody.
Or they won't seek it the same.
Yeah. Okay.
They're going to seek it in different ways. And those that are seeking this route by listening to podcasts and reading all the material on other perspectives and people's lives and how they can learn and grow and nurture themselves while they're doing it.
Right.
Yeah.
I like it.
Me too.
Thanks for sharing that today.
I don't know what it means in the end, but dang it all. Let's be better humans.
Yeah. just become a little bit better than you were yesterday, which still somehow makes me feel a little inadequate. Does it ever make you feel
Every
that way?
day it makes me feel inadequate.
Yeah.
But if you're truly in that present or striving for, right? Isn't it all about the end goal or the intention behind it still? We could go back to that all day long.
Right.
And when that's your focus, I mean, I'd like to really think that today I'm better than I was yesterday. Not better like the scale of 1 to 10 and I'm finally at a 10 and
you're a good person or a bad person.
Yes,
yeah.
It has not. And
just that you've evolved a little bit better.
Yes.
Or more.
More.
Not better, but you just
I've done evolved better. Okay. No, maybe.
Oh, gosh. Yeah, sometimes I think we do get caught up in our verbiage, but if you saw what's in our hearts, you would know.
I think that is so clear and so true. And if we did that for everybody, right? Mm-hmm. If we just saw what's in their heart, we would know.
Which I think eventually Ron did with Denver and vice versa, is that he stopped looking at him as a dirty, angry, homeless man. And because he knew more of his story and interacted with him on a more intimate basis. He
talked about that so many times.
He knew his heart.
Yeah, he talked about one experience where Denver wasn't around when they were doing, I think, prayer circles or something for his wife.
Oh, uh-huh.
And he kept disappearing during stuff like that. And because he typically would show up kind of raggedy and still smoking and doing whatever he was doing, having drunk the night before or something, he perceived it as, well, he's probably just being lazy, doing his thing. And then he found out from somebody else that during those events in particular, Denver took it upon himself to keep vigil. So he would go out behind I want to say the shelter out near like the dumpster out there or something, and would sit and pray all night because everybody.
That almost brings tears to my eyes.
I'm just going to say I almost seriously want to start crying because everybody was praying during the day, and he figured, oh my gosh, I'm going to cry.
Yeah.
But they weren't praying at night.
Yeah. And he really loved her.
He needed to be the one that was the one praying at night.
Yeah.
What a beautiful offering, and truly somebody as unique as his experience. Somebody with his unique experience was able to do that. Really. Yeah. Like really was able to. I don't know.
Yeah. Oh. Yeah.
Makes me think there's a bigger something out there, right?
Yeah. And there's more pearls in the mud than we really recognize.
And that even occurs within ourselves too. Mm-hmm. Just love yourselves a little more. Love yourself a little more.
Yeah. I agree.
Be kinder. Because here's the thing. If it doesn't start with you, then who?
Yeah.
If it starts there, it matters.
Yeah.
It's kind of like we sign off with, right? Yeah. Keep on learning. Keep on doing what you're doing.
Yeah.
Because it does matter.
It's beautiful. All right. Do we have a question of the week?
Can we make it a funny question of the week?
Yeah. Do you have one?
No. Oh. Do you?
Question of the week. Who is your favorite cartoon character from when you were a kid?
Okay. So before I was a teen.
Mm-hmm. When you came home from school and were so excited to turn the TV on and watch whatever.
If I ever got to watch it, yeah. Do you want to know?
Yeah, I want to know.
By the power of Grayskull. She-Ra.
She-Ra.
Yeah.
Do you remember the episode where we found out that He-Man and She-Ra were brother and sister?
Yeah.
It was epic.
Life-changing.
I know.
All this time.
I can still remember being like my mind was blown.
Yeah. It was good stuff.
Yeah. Why did you like her?
I liked that she didn't quite know who she was and that she found out she was something special and had this secret power possessed within her to change the world.
I can't believe you remember that about her. All I remember is she had like furry pants or furry bottoms.
Oh no, I remember all the, She wandered around not knowing anything about herself. And as she learned more, that's when it was revealed to her that she had secret powers when she held aloft her magic sword and repeated the words.
By the power of Grayskull.
Yeah.
Wow.
What about you?
That's intense.
It is intense. But you remember who you're talking to, girl.
True. I
did love the Smurfs, too.
Yeah, I loved the Smurfs. I was trying to think of what I watched when I was little.
Oh my gosh, and Rainbow Bright. Okay, I'm done.
I did a little Rainbow Bright. All right. I think I liked Pound Puppies. Do you remember that?
We're pound puppies. We wanna go.
What? You remember that?
With you.
Oh, I got one time, I think.
I had one too. And she had babies. Yeah. And I loved her little hearts on their little butt cheeks.
Oh yeah, they were hard, right?
Yeah.
Yeah.
PP for pound puppies.
Yeah, I really liked that. They tried to bring it back.
They did.
On Netflix, and I didn't really get it.
It wasn't as good.
Because wasn't it like they were trying to avoid the dog catcher guy?
I think so.
Big, fat, smelly guy.
I don't know. Poor stereotyped dog catcher that he was.
Puppies. That was a good show. I really liked puppies. I remember having like posters of dogs in my room as a kid.
Oh, really?
Yeah, and I don't even have a dog now. But I just remember.
Are you a dog lover?
So cute. We had dogs growing up.
Yeah.
I like them.
But
I can barely take care of myself. So
whatever. She's lying.
It's true. So, and my husband.
Regular showers doesn't count as taking care of yourself.
Oh, it doesn't?
No.
Really?
No.
Yeah, I think it does. It's called grooming. My mom was like, I'm teaching you good grooming. I remember, does anybody else call it grooming?
I don't know, but I should change it to that because my kids go crazy. Like, Mom, I don't need to comb my hair before I leave the house. I'm like, yeah, you do. You don't need to look like you just woke up out of bed. Mm-hmm. Okay? Like, can we not advertise that to the universe? That it's 11 in the morning and you're barely rolling out in the summer? Comb your hair. Get up.
Brush your teeth.
Oh, okay. Actually, I don't even care about the hair as much anymore, as much as I do the deodorant. Always, you have to wear it. I can't, Chalene. Yeah.
I'm sorry. That's nasty.
It is nasty, is the truth.
All right. Well, just remember we have our retreat coming up. Some info will be on social media, correct?
Yes. Every week we'll keep adding stuff.
And
we'll put an event out there.
It's going to be really fun.
We'd love to have you join us.
We really would. You can see us IRL.
Yeah.
In real life.
We'll pass around a talking stick so we can each have turns sharing what we've learned. This is going to be an epic thing.
It's going to be really fun. So keep your eyes peeled. Mark your calendars. We're excited.
Join us. It's super affordable. We want to just make this a community of sharing, as we've discovered today, being a good human.
Yes. Awesome. All right, Liz. Thank you. And remember to keep learning.
Because it does matter, and so do you.
And the masters of the universe. I am Adam, Prince of Eternia and defender of the secrets of Castle Grayskull. This is Cringer, my fearless friend. Fabulous secret powers were revealed to me the day I held aloft my magic sword and said, "By the power of Grayskull!" Cringer became the mighty Battle Cat, and I became He-Man, the most powerful man in the universe. Only 3 others share this secret. Our friends, the Sorceress, Man-at-Arms, and Orko. Together we defend Castle Grayskull from the evil forces of Skeletor.
Yes, I do. Ew, pound puppies! They're yucky, icky, poo! Soon I'll catch every pup, and then I'll lock them all up. You pound puppies! Your rebel days are through!
We're pound puppies, loving and true blue.
Yo, pound puppies!
With puppy power too.